I'm with John Knight, the curator of the Eurobodalla Botanic Gardens, which is an absolute treasure on the New South Wales south coast. Now, John, you've worked here since the garden's inception. Tell me a bit about the history.
Yes, the gardens, Angus, started back in 1986 when a group of local community people were concerned about what was happening to the bush and that it was being knocked over for development. And they approached the local council to see whether we couldn't have a botanic gardens. The feature of the botanic gardens is that it was to grow only the plants of the Eurobodalla region. And that takes in the three major rivers which run through the Shire. So up the north we've got the Clyde River, which runs up as far as Sassafras, so it's all that lower Sydney sandstone. We've got the wild country of the Dura River, which is to the west of Maruya. And then we go down to the Turos River, which takes in parts of Botanic National Park. Huge collection area, and what the friends said to council was that we'll get out and we'll find all these plants, we'll get permits to come back here and we'll grow them in a gardens if only you can find us a site.
And you've got a really active group of volunteers that do most of the work here, is that right?
That's very true, yeah. There's two staff that council pay, it's myself and a labourer, but all of the other work that you see in the gardens, people who come to visit us are amazed really. We've got 120 volunteers. I won't say the average age, but it's certainly past retirement, and they do pretty much anything. So they do the gardens, build the infrastructure, and look after all the maintenance for us as well.
And what are some of the highlights as you walk through the gardens?
Well, for me, this is the gardens in the bush. So I'm not looking for a hit you in the face lot of flowers. My preference is that people come and listen to what the bush tells them. So you've got light breezes as we have today, you've got birds twittering in the background, we see snakes and lizards and these sort of things. And those are the things that make a natural garden as far as I'm concerned. Sure, we have gardens which have sandstone flora, for instance, near our visitor centre, and we've put together a couple of gardens which I class as plants suitable for home gardens. So you would choose some plants for yourself from our retail nursery. They're the ones that you might pick up, one of these and one of those, and they're the pretty little things that we find in the bush. But generally, if I was coming here for a highlight, I would like to go and smell the bush, live what the bush offers. The Arboretum, that's, well, you could say that's a feature. That was the first development we did, and that was started to be planted out in 1992 when I first arrived. It was the very first job. Let's work out how we can grow all of the trees which occur in the Eurobodalla Shire. And the orchid house now holds a selection of the local orchids. And I say also that the orchid house was built by volunteers. Without volunteers, where would we be?
Yeah. Indeed, yeah. No, it's one of the inspiring features of the garden from my point of view. And another thing I love is the educational work that you do.
Yeah, and again, Angus, that's something which the volunteers do for us. Council had initially no input into that, but in recent years they've got a girl who assists us and does the organising of the schools and so on now, which has been a great fillip. We take every young person in grade 4 from the whole Shire, and they come here and do a whole day of learning about what nature is about, really. We've got 2 small propagating teams. We supply plants. First of all, their number one aim is to produce plants for the garden so that we've got things to show people, and it's the ongoing propagation of those things that we're trying to work on now. Our second point is to grow plants for land care and other council projects. So we produced, last year it was about 12,000 plants which went to land care projects. And finally, any plants that are left over are sold to our retail nursery. And the monies from that are channelled back through the Friends, and it comes directly into projects like rebuilding the orchid house, for instance.
The amazing thing is it's free to get in, and
it is, yeah.
So how do people get here?
Well, we are 5k out of Bateman's Bay, so it's a little bit difficult. People have to drive a car. There's no public transport. So if you can't get out here under your own steam, there are community buses which some groups actually hire and would bring people out. But in the main, yes, get here as best you can.
The Eurobodalla Regional Botanic Gardens really is one of the treasures in terms of Australian plants and biodiversity. My thanks to John Knight, the inaugural curator of the Eurobodalla Regional Botanic Gardens. John retired from the gardens in 2012 after an enormous job done over 20 years. Congratulations to John, and I would urge you, if you're ever down the south coast of New South Wales near Bateman's Bay, have a look at this wonderful botanic gardens. It's a real treasure. Look up their website. It's open weekends and Wednesdays to Fridays. Enjoy.